True stories, undeniable healing, real hope. Abortion hurts, God heals. True stories, undeniable healing, real hope. Abortion hurts, God heals.
Welcome to Abortion Hurts, God Heals, where you will hear true stories, undeniable healing, and real hope. We're your hosts. I'm Sandra Decker.
And I'm Virginia Lang. Abortion Hurts, God Heals was created to educate, enlighten, and bring the hope of healing to people. And we do that through the heartfelt stories of those who have chosen abortion, suffered the consequences, but accepted God's forgiveness and healing.
Yes, and Virginia and I both are post-abortive, and we feel that it's so important to share our stories. There's a lot of misinformation out there about abortion, and if we don't speak up and share our stories, then how will people actually know the truth about abortion? That it does hurt women and men and relationships, but more importantly, that God can heal our hearts and restore our lives.
That's right, Sandra. We started our ministry, actually, before we started our ministry, we were both church-based leaders of abortion recovery Bible studies. And then in 2014, God laid it on our hearts to branch out, do something different. And so Abortion Hurts, God Heals ministry was born at that time. And we've continued to do our post-abortion Bible studies in our homes. And we also have what we call a panel event. A panel event is when our team of post-abortive women goes on the road wherever we're invited, and we share our testimonies, and we've done that at churches, women's groups, colleges and universities across South Texas.
Yes, and we also have an Abortion Hurts, God Heals radio show that we broadcast weekly on AM 630 The Word in San Antonio. And so we invite you to listen into that. Again, it's like Sunday nights, 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, so it's really easy to get to by laptop, or if you're on the radio locally, you can listen to it. But you'll hear a variety of stories about abortion from different perspectives. You'll hear stories from women who have faced the choice of abortion, the men in their lives. You'll hear stories from former abortion facility owners, and also stories of people who have survived abortions.
As the baby, yeah. So it's very compelling stories. You can find our radio show by going on to the website of the radio station, KSLR.com, or and click to listen live. Again, do that on Sunday night at 7 p.m. You can also go to our website, abortionhurtsgodheals.com, and find the full archive of all of our shows, and you can browse by title and find one that speaks to you.
That's right. Our website is full of written testimonies and videos and resources for those of you who have questions about abortion. And no better place to learn about abortion than from those who have actually lived and walked having that as a choice in their lives.
Experienced.
Also, if you're a Facebook person, we invite you to find us on Facebook. It's Abortion Hurts, God Heals, and you can give us a like, and please share. Our podcasts are available on there as well. So it's a great place, social media wise, to be able to share some really heartfelt, true stories.
Right, and we're just so pleased to be able to bring you this television broadcast, and we'll do that every week with a fresh interview where you're going to hear true stories, undeniable healing, and real hope.
We are so blessed today to have Lisa Scouron with us today in our studios. She has been a team member of Abortion Hurts, God Heals since we started.
Very beginning.
And just faithful to our ministry, faithful to speaking out when God calls her. She's also our webmaster, or web designer, webmaster. So if you go to our abortionhurtsgodheals.com website, all her amazing work is right there for you to see. So, Lisa, thank you so much for coming today. Thanks for taking this time out to share your story and your heart.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Lisa, you're just a small town girl from the panhandle of Texas, yeah?
Yes, right.
Yes. So, growing up in high school in a small town where everybody knows everybody, you end up pregnant, and this is not part of your plan. Take us back to that day when you found out for sure you're pregnant.
Well, I had a sense, and so I talked to my boyfriend about it, and he bought me a test. Back then you had to be 2 weeks late in order to take it, so I had the test for quite a long time before I actually took it, but when I did take it, it turned positive immediately, and it's the worst fear that I've ever felt in my life. I was just terrified of disappointing my parents, especially my father, and I just had no idea what to do, so I told my boyfriend, and he asked me if it would be okay if he told his mom first, because we knew we needed an adult to help us because we were kids, you know, and I thought that was a smart idea. I was afraid to tell my parents initially, and so I agreed, and she set an appointment up for us at Planned Parenthood. And the only way we could get to Planned Parenthood, because it closed before we got out of school, was to have his mom tell the coach that we needed help, and he snuck us out of an assembly during school, at the very end of school, and we were able to get to the appointment on time. And so when we walked into Planned Parenthood, the very first thing that the woman said to me was, "Don't worry, you know, your parents never have to know you are here." And it was such a red flag to me, because I thought, this is a big deal in a little girl's life that's pregnant. You know, her parents should probably need to know this. And originally I thought it was a trick, you know, to get me back and comfortable and talking
Disarm
with
you,
her.
kind of,
And then she would give me some ideas on how I could tell my parents about this, but that's not what happened at all. She basically said, you know, you're so young. So many girls around here get stuck here and never leave. You know, you'll never go to college. It'll be more difficult. Adoption is difficult on girls, because then for the rest of their lives they wonder where their child might be. And just, you know, no pamphlets on any kind of information whatsoever. It was just turned into a conversation between her and my boyfriend about abortion, and that was not something that it was even on my radar. You know, I thought we were going to get help. That was what I was told.
Right.
And so she talks about how, you know, an abortion, you know what it is. It's just a clump of cells. It's not a baby yet. You know, it won't turn into a baby till the second trimester, basically, is how I took it. And she said that the only way, they didn't have a physician in our area in the Panhandle that she would send me to, at least, but they had a doctor in Dallas that they send their girls to. And I just said, well, how does that happen? And she said, well, what you do is you just lie to your parents about where you've been all day. You just get on the airplane, you fly to Dallas, you have the procedure, you fly home, and then just lie to your parents about where you've been all day. And I just hadn't really said anything much during the conversation, because I was such a shy kid, and he always did the talking for me. And so, but at that I just laughed at her, and I said, well, I guess that's out. Because it seemed so ridiculous to me that, you know, 15, well, she asked me how old I was first, and I said 16, and she said, good, that means you can fly on an airplane without your parents' permission. You're old enough to do that. And it just, I thought it was just so unreal. And she sort of then said, well, would you like me to make an appointment, you know? And I knew that we didn't know quite exactly how far along I was, and I was going to be sent to an OB in town that they worked with just to see how far along I was before they scheduled the appointment. But she did ask me, do you want me to schedule an appointment for you now? And I said, no, you know, if it doesn't turn into a baby till the second trimester, then I'm going to take all the time that I need to think about this. I felt pressured from her. I just wanted to get out of there. And so we left, and I told my boyfriend, I don't feel any better now than I did when we first got here. And he said, oh, I do. And
pressure.
For the next several weeks, you know, there was pressure from Planned Parenthood calling me, asking me to hurry up and make up my mind. And they asked me, well, do you want me to call his mom instead of you, so that there's no chance of your parents hearing the conversation at home? And I said, yes, I would rather you do that. So for weeks, you know, I was trying to make this decision of how am I going to tell my parents, while also being pressured to hurry up and make up my mind. And initially I felt like, I thought that the mother had said, don't pressure her to make this decision, let her make this on her own. But there was still, you know, this pressure to hurry up and make up my mind.
It was like unspoken pressure.
Right,
That's right. Just-
right. Well, and then we would talk about keeping it, you know, and he would let me daydream about it, and I would say, okay, that's what I want to do, and then he would just say, no, that's crazy, you know, what about college, what about my football career, and scholarship, and all of this stuff, and I would get so confused, and didn't know what to do, and I just thought, no, going to Dallas is just out. I could never do that. I could never have an abortion and live with that and face my parents for the rest of my life with the secret. I knew that I wouldn't be able to do that. And so finally, up at the 11-week point, when I knew that I had to make a choice because this getting ready to turn into a baby, I told him, I'm going to tell my parents by Friday. That was me just making a cutoff for myself so that I would do it. And then very next day, his mom was a school teacher, pulled me out of class, took me to her office, and begged me not to tell my parents. And at that moment, I realized it was never about me. It was never about my choice. They had made up their mind from the beginning what they wanted to happen.
So like lip service to whatever you want, but yet the pressure was
trying
always
to,
towards that decision.
You know, yes.
To abort.
And so I'd never spoken, you know, up to a teacher. I was always well behaved and never confrontational, but I just looked her straight in the face and I said, are you done yet? Because I've got to get back to class. And I went back to class and I was so angry at that point. I was going to keep it. I was definitely going to tell my parents, and I thought they were pro-life. And but then I just started thinking about the manipulation that I'd been through in the relationship, the emotional abuse that I had been going through with him, physical abuse even a little bit, and feeling like I would be tied to this person for the rest of my life. And I think I felt rejected and like
your opinion didn't count.
Yeah, I just felt angry that they didn't want me and that they didn't want the baby. And so my parents did find out. Mom has that instinct, you know, but this appointment was already scheduled. They found out, only had a couple of days to think about what to do, came back and said, you know, you can go to a maternity home in San Antonio, you can go live with your aunt, or we'll help you. And that's basically the discussion that we had. But by that point, the back and forth trying to decide became so emotionally exhausting, and just living a normal high school life of school and basketball and cheerleading and just, you know, pregnant and going through morning sickness and all of this. It was just so emotionally draining. I just shut down and I just said, just forget it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get it over with because I don't want to ruin his life. I don't want to ruin his mom's life. I don't want to ruin his potential of a college scholarship. And selfishly, I wanted to go to college and I had things that I wanted to accomplish in high school. And so, and I knew my parents would understand either way and would support me because they really wanted me to make that decision because I would have to live with it for the rest of my life. But then that put all of the pressure and weight back on my shoulders that I was carrying.
It's a lot to bear when you're just 16.
Yeah. So you did decide to,
I did decide to go through with it.
All of the plans about getting on a plane, getting out of school.
I have no idea how it happened.
But it did.
It just,
And you got on a plane, went to Dallas, had your abortion, got on a plane, came back.
We caught a taxi. We went to the clinic. It was pouring down rain. It was dark and gloomy around, you know, it was 19th of December, so it was, I remember my boyfriend calling out the directions to the taxi driver because it was so confusing driving downtown that he had to do that. So I kind of remembered where it was. But walking in there, it was, I still remember every single detail to this day of what happened that day. I just had a harder time during my recovery remembering what happened after. But
it came back to you later.
It did.
Over time. Yeah.
And in horrible flashbacks that were very painful. Sorry. So
you're there.
I remember sitting there, and I remember everyone in the room, and this door that we would have to walk through. And I knew once I passed that door, that would be it. There would be no turning back. And they were 45 minutes behind. They came in and told me. So I had a lot of time to sit in the room and think. And so then I wished I'd let my mom come with me. I was scared to say, I don't want to do this. I wanted my boyfriend to come and say, we don't have to do this, you know, let's go. I saw the instruments on the table that scared me because no one ever told me it was surgery. So that terrified me. I was crying, I was moving up and down, you know, and I concentrated on the light that was coming through the room, and I just wanted to say no, but I was afraid I would get in trouble, and I was afraid I would disappoint the people that had paid for the plane tickets and everything for us to get there, and I didn't have the courage to stand up and say no. And so the lady finally comes in the room, and I'm not ready, and so she gets upset that I'm not already ready on the table and prepped before the doctor comes in, because you never even talk to the doctor. He just shows up in the room when your feet are already in the stirrups.
Oh, really? I thought Planned Parenthood said that you know, abortion is a discussion between a woman and her doctor.
No.
Yeah.
No, he walked in, he was the age of my
Rarely.
father. It felt very, just very embarrassing and shameful, because I'd never had an exam like that with my feet in the stirrups, and here he shows up and just starts the procedure. And I remember just lying on the table thinking, wait a minute, if I don't do anything, this is going to turn into a baby. And I wanted to scream, no, stop. But I couldn't. Nothing would come out. And so the procedure was very painful, and there was a lady, it wasn't even a nurse, it was just a lady there holding my hand, and I was squirming a little bit in pain, and she told me not to move because the doctor might damage my uterus, and that just scared me even more and made me cry even more. And she said, don't worry, it'll be over soon. And then when it was over, she just left the room, and or first they said, you know, you need to wait here because we need to make sure the doctor got it all. And I thought, what are they talking about? I was so confused. And she said, whatever you do, when he walks out, do not look at what he's carrying, because that you do not want that image ingrained in your mind for the rest of your life. And I thought, what is she talking about? You know, and
because it's just a mass of cells,
it's
they
just a
told
massive,
you.
or late period tissue.
Right.
I mean, what? I'd seen that before, you know. I didn't understand what they were talking about, and this thought crossed my mind. Well, I wonder if it was a boy or a girl. Should I ask? And I just felt so horrified and ashamed, and that I would even have such a thought. And when she left the room, I just wanted to hurry and get my clothes on, and I was still the Valium that they gave me, that I remember thinking, should I call my parents and ask if I should take this? I mean, I didn't know what it would do to me, but I remember just wanting to get to people, wanting to get out of the room and get to people. I didn't want to be alone to think, because I didn't want to think about what had just occurred. It was so traumatic. And at that point, I was not taken to recovery, because them being 45 minutes late, they asked me if I could skip recovery and just go straight to birth control counseling. And I remember thinking, birth control counseling, I'm never having sex again after that, forget it. But I didn't even have time to go to recovery because I had a plane to catch. And so they did all the birth control counseling at this table with my juice and crackers and wrapped me in a blanket, and I just felt like the hormones crashing, and
you can actually physically feel
like you're in shock even. And I remember not wanting to go to recovery because I saw a girl in there wrapped in a blanket, and I just didn't want time to think at all. And
so then you had to hop on a plane and go back home and just continue on. You know, I just want to thank you. That's it's hard to talk about experiences like that. Like you said, it's traumatic to go through an abortion. It's not like what it's talked about in the media about how it's an easy fix, and it's just
in what world is your experience empowering?
Empowering or a quick fix, or it's just like a little procedure. So thank you so much for sharing that. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to speak about this right now if God hasn't done a work in your heart, and we just have a few minutes left, but I would love for you to share what has He done in your heart, and how has He turned you around to give you the courage to speak this, and to just give you the healing that you've always wanted and yearned for?
Well, I was in marriage counseling, and I had said that I wasn't able to cry, and he said it's usually because of something traumatic that's happened in your past, and he asked me directly what was that, and I knew I couldn't lie to him because my husband was right there. So I told him, and he told me about the class. Forgiven and Set Free.
Forgiven and Set Free.
And so I went through the class, Forgiven and Set Free, and it was just life-changing. I'd felt completely separated from God since the abortion, and then there was this wall that I just couldn't crash, just couldn't break down. I didn't know how to do that. And by going through that class, I felt like my child was given dignity and worth and value when we did the ceremony.
Yeah, I know that that's something that really meant a lot
It
to you
did,
too.
because I felt like life just moved on for everyone, and I was stuck in this grief over my child that no one ever recognized. And so to have people there recognizing him and giving him dignity and a name, it meant the world to me. That was just so much part of my healing.
And you were finally
then-
able to grieve,
Yes.
which is such an important, you cannot
Yes.
heal a loss until you grieve it.
Yes.
Yeah. What did you
And
name your baby? Lisa?
Jonathan Allen.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Talk about laying down that at the foot of the cross, this abortion heaviness and heartache. What was it like for you to just lay it down and say, God, take this from me?
It was hard, but I didn't want to carry that weight anymore. And I wanted to go through the healing. I remember saying to my counselor, I can't pray about this. I don't know why. And he said, Lisa, don't you want to finally deal with this? Don't you want to put everything that you have into this healing process? And I said, yes, I want to finally deal with it. And so every night I would pray before I did my homework for the class. I would pray, before I went to the class. I would pray every time that, and read scripture. And I was forced to look at what I had actually done because I never wanted to know. I never wanted to know what actually abortion was.
Right.
And by having to look at that and realize, oh my gosh, that's what I did, and to realize the fetal development, that it had hands and feet, was just so horrific. But I think I really needed to face that and to grieve that and heal that and acknowledge it. And that's when asking for forgiveness over and over and over again, that never worked before, finally did reach deep into my heart, and I felt such a peace and was able to just let go.
Tell me
And-
about feelings that you had when you did let go of it.
Oh, it was the most, I felt light. I came home, my daughter said, Mom, why are you smiling? Why are you smiling? It just seemed odd to her that I would be smiling. It just changed everything and just made me want to go out like you guys and share it with the world. That, oh my gosh, there is healing available for this. You don't have to carry this burden and this shame and this guilt for the rest of your life. And where's the church, Why aren't they telling women about this? And so that became my passion after I went through class. And so I gave my testimony at my church and led a class at my church and got involved with this group and did some other things. But all of that has just continue the healing process.
Wow, God does amazing work in us, but the first thing that we have to do is we have to let that go.
That's right.
And sometimes we want to own it, and we, just want to hold on to it because it feels comfortable, because for some of us it's been 20, 30, 40 years of carrying this hurt and pain. Yes, but God does amazing things, and it's apparent in your story. It's apparent when you're here with us and you're sharing, and I know that you've had many other opportunities too as well. And wow.
I wanted to have you speak to one thing that your counselor had said to you about you not being able to forgive yourself.
Yeah,
It's really profound what he said.
He said, wow, you're really powerful. That Lisa Scowen would have to tell God to forgive you, and that he asked me, how much more would you want him to have suffered for your sin?
Wow.
Yeah.
What else would you want him to have done?
Because
that
what he
puts-
did didn't seem to be enough.
Yes.
Yeah,
in
and
a
that puts
sense.
everything in
Yes.
perspective, that he is bigger and he is the one that does that for us.
Yes.
Wow, Lisa, thank you so much for sharing
You're welcome.
everything that you said. I know it's touched our hearts, and pray that it's touched the people here who are with us today on
hope
Abortion Hurts,
so.
God Heals. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
So much hurt and so much heartache. Just listening to her story and hearing all the manipulation and plans that were made without her, really being able to make a statement.
And her situation was not unique.
Yeah.
It's a part of a lot of girls
Yeah.
and women's story.
Yeah, and so you think about 1 out of 5 women, I don't know if you all are aware of this or not, but 1 out of 5 women have had abortions in the United States. It's a staggering number. So there is it's very likely that you probably know someone, if you know 5 women that has had an abortion. They may be hurting right now. They may be carrying this burden just like Lisa had been for years, a traumatic situation. And you know, you might know a man who has been a father of an aborted child, or a grandparent who has a missing grandchild, or a sister or brother with a missing sibling.
Right.
So please, please share this program with everyone that you know so that they can hear these stories, because these stories are so impactful.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to close us out in prayer, if that's all
Yes.
right. Father God, I want to lift up Lisa and thank you for her willingness to share her testimony. Father, I ask that you use her words and her story to touch hearts for those that are hurting, those that are still holding on to this burden in their soul about their abortion choice. Father, I also ask for healing for all of the people involved, whether it's parents that pressured, or boyfriends, or even people in the industry who are pushing people towards an abortion choice. Father, work in each of their lives to bring them to yourself and to bring them to the healing that only that you can provide. So we thank you in advance for what you're going to do with these words today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Virginia. And I want you all to be sure, again, that to share this program. If you're a radio person, also, please visit our radio program. It's on every Sunday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's on am630theword.com. You can also find it at kslr.com as well. Sunday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We also have all of our podcasts listed on our website, so abortionhurtsgodheals.com. And if you are a Facebook person, we are on Facebook, so we encourage you to go there. You can find our podcast there as well.
Yeah.
So it's Abortion Hurts God Heals on Facebook. But
That's
thank
right.
you. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Join us again next week. We'll be here, right here, and sharing another amazing story. You'll hear true stories, undeniable healing, and real hope.
That's right.
True stories, undeniable healing, real hope. Abortion hurts, God heals. True stories, undeniable healing, real hope. Abortion hurts, God heals.